Alan, are we recording? It's not very often I get to slam that gavel. Welcome to the West Jordan City Council meeting for Wednesday, September 14th, 1922, or 2022, 1920. I'm looking at the 9 until 2022. Currently in the chambers, we have Council Member Jacob, Council Member Green, Council Member Pack, Council Member McConaughey. We do have a quorum. Council Member Worthen has not turned on her camera yet, so we cannot count her present. Oh, there it goes. Now she's present. We see her waving. We have 5 council members present. Council Member Whitelock is someplace in London, and Council Member Bloom is someplace on the East Coast, and they will not be joining us tonight. To just for a couple of things that occurring tonight, just for everybody's knowledge, on anything that we hear that we take action on, we still are required by state statute to have 4 votes. So if 2 members dissent, we're not passing it. So we do have to have the 4 votes as required by state statute. If you're here about the Bowman's Arrow project, the one at the corner of 78th and Mountain View, the 82 or 86 acres. At the request of the developer, that has been pulled from the agenda. And so we're not holding the public hearing, but I see that there are a bunch of you here. So what we would encourage you to do if you are making comments on Bowman's Arrow is use the public comment time, and I'll mention that again here in a couple of minutes. Please use the public comment time to comment if you are here for that particular public hearing. Right now we will move to the Pledge of Allegiance. I understand Mr. Dave Naylor of the West Jordan City Parks Department will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
We are now going to have public comment. This is the chance for any resident of West Jordan City to address us. On any topic that you would want. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're here and you want to get your comments on record about the Bowman's Arrows project, please do that now. We will, what we do, public comment, you have up to 3 minutes. The city council does not typically respond to your questions or engage in commentary, and will listen. If the council requests your help in maintaining the decorum of the meeting, we want to keep this a safe and open forum for everybody. So just understand that if it's about something that the city may be able to intervene with, you may be approached by a staff member to get further information from you so that the city may be able to help you. I have one public comment card that was filled out. It's from June Christiansen. June, would you like to? Yeah, I'm gonna open the public comment and have you go first, and then we'll ask if there's anybody else. And if you will push the right button On the base of that microphone, the light should go red. Yep, there you go.
Okay, I'm here to ask a question that I know you can't answer, but it'll give you something to think about. The residents around Bowman's Arrow that have commented either via email or telephone conversations, I think the concern out there is if you're not holding any kind of public hearing, so to speak, and it's been pulled from the agenda, do their comments still stay on record? Do you keep that in mind? Is it on note so that when this comes up again, and because it's vacant property, it's inevitable that it will those comments still be held in consideration for the residents from around there? Or do they have to go through the whole process again? Because as this comes and goes until the developer decides what to do, people can get weary of constantly placing their comments in there again. So concerned about that. It'd be nice to know if it's on record, so it, as we go and campaign against or for, or at least open the door so they can voice an opinion, we can say, okay, you're on record, you're okay at this point. And then I just want to restate again that I couldn't object more to the way this development was looking, and I really, really hope that something better comes out of this before it comes up again. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? If you're online, if you're online, please press *9 to raise your hand, and then we'll fix it so you can speak. If you have, please. Give us your name and city of
my name's
residence.
Jim Dunnigan. I'm a state representative. I represent District 39 in the Utah House of Representatives. And following the redistricting, they're redoing the map, and they're taking a 9 and turning it into a 6. So it's going to be District 36. And I'm excited about it. I represent the District 39 currently. And this hunk of West Jordan has been added to the district. It goes from 6,600 south to 7,800 south, and from Redwood Road to Bangor. And so it's wonderful. I have a lot of family that live in West Jordan, and I'm looking forward to working with you. I've met Chris, I've met Kayleen, and hope to be able to meet each one of you. I just want to, in the 20 minutes I have left, I just want to mention one or two things. Transportation's an issue for all of the west side. A year ago, I worked with Senator Harper, and we took some money or appropriated money from the quarter sales tax, and I worked with Mayor Burton. So West Jordan got $1 million for 15 years. So that's $15 million that you can bond against for traffic choke points. And I know you're using some of that money on 1300 West, and I know you need a lot more, but you got $15 million. That was my bill, and Senator Harper did it in the House. I also want to mention that each legislative session, I send out a survey of some of the top topics and try to get the sense of how people want me to vote. And so this year I sent it out, and I included the new area, that it was a District 36. And I've provided Alan, and I guess Cindy will distribute the survey results. You might find this interesting, because this is this area. I surveyed this area. We got several hundred responses. And so this is the responses from the citizens in West Jordan. And then a few months ago, I actually had a town hall meeting in this room for this. It was a virtual and in person. Mayor Burton attended, but it looks a lot more official the way you guys have it set up. But it was good. I love getting to know, better acquainted with the West Jordan residents. I did have a piece of West Jordan for several years over by the Reams on 62, so I've represented some of West Jordan there for some time. But my contact information is on the flyer. I'd love to help you. The session is approaching in a few months. So if you have any questions, overall the state's going very well. We're growing. It brings challenges. You know that. West Jordan's growing like crazy. My daughter just lives, about a mile west from here. And I think West Jordan is a wonderful community. And I just want to introduce myself and let you know that I'm willing and ready and able to help West Jordan however I can.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to comment? Please step up to and just tell us your name and city of residence.
Hi, my name is Ken Wilhite, and I live in West Jordan in the Lone View North project. And it's good to see the state representative here. I'm curious, because this topic came up in a discussion, do the representatives from the west side, does Jordan Tusher or a representative from his office show up and take in the meeting? Or do we have a representative from Lincoln Fillmore who shows up and shows an interest in what's going on? Because there are matters that affect the entire west side up and down. You can look off the Mountain View corridor and see the high-density building going up on the west side. The city of West Jordan can't address what goes on in South Jordan, can't address what goes on to the south of us or to the north of us. It seems like we have some issues as citizens that we need our representatives to represent us in the state capitol. And I'm somewhat disappointed that we don't have a representative from their offices here to take in what the business of the third largest city in Utah. So that's just for what it's worth.
Thank you for your comment. Ms. Efremo, I see your hand is up. I have just allowed you to talk. You need to press *6 to unmute yourself. So if you will press *6, you should be able to speak. Thank you. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, this is Alexandra Efremo. I just want to say I donated $4,000 to the City of West Jordan Police Department for our canine vests. And what I cannot believe, Officer Longwell, when he left his home, I'm sure he vested himself. So what I want to know, why did he not vest Maya, her vestment, before they left home? I pray Officer Longmore is fired, never again to be able to handle canine dogs. Our Maya, she died, and because of his not protecting her, and it just breaks my heart. He should have vested her before they left home, and he said, he didn't have time to vest her. Officer Longmore should be fired from the West Jordan Police Department. I'm sorry. I pray for our little Maya every day. She should not have died. She was his partner. He did not protect her, and he did not vest her before leaving home. I pray, please God, I pray he is fired from the West Jordan Police Department, never again to do anything with canine little volunteers. My heart is broken for Maya. I pray for her every day. I just cannot believe he vested himself before he left his home, I'm sure. And why didn't he vest Maya before leaving home? And then he says he didn't have time. I'm sorry, dear God, please, I pray he is fired from West Jordan. I'm sorry, I love my little Maya, and I gave $4,000 so they would have vest, and Longmore did not vest Maya. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm just broken hearted. But anyway, I'm sorry. I pray he is fired because he did not protect his partner.
Thank you for your comments. Your 3 minutes are up. I also see Ann Forrester with her hand up. I am going to unmute you and allow you to talk. You now have 3 minutes. Ms. Forrester, go ahead. Thank you. Ms. Forrester with a I've been told by my super technical person that understands Zoom that it looks like for you to be able to speak, you're using an old version of Zoom, and I can't allow you to talk, and you may need to call back in. Um, if you put your phone number in the chat, Councilmember McConaughey can reach out to you and connect you. Is there anyone else in chambers that would like to speak? Please step up to the podium.
My name is Micah Harmon. I live in West Jordan, actually right near June Christiansen. I watch what's going on around us as far as development and building quite closely. We bought our home almost 7 years ago in that area. We were assured by the builder that there was to be no more high density housing west of the Mountain View corridor. Now I know that the builder can't predict the future, but we chose our home there because we were looking at homes in Harriman, and they were just these massive high density, ultra high density were being built around it. And so we made a conscious choice to buy where we did, for the peace and serenity, and quite honestly, the lack of criminal activity that comes more often in medium to low density housing. My biggest concern is that the city of West Jordan has not provided infrastructure in that area for that amount of housing, for high density and ultra high density housing. I feel that the city is woefully unprepared to absorb that amount of need of infrastructure. You know, as far as first responders, police officers, emergency personnel, I just don't think it's there, and it concerns me quite a bit. Plus just the need for roads for commercial. It's just not there. The schools, everything. I just don't think the city is prepared for it, and I don't think they're going to be prepared for it soon. And so any time I catch any whiff of a ultra high density development, especially on a piece of property as big as across from us, it really starts to worry me that that all we're doing is creating problems for ourselves as a city. I get the need for developers to make money. I work for one, but there also comes, the conscience of the city council and the local people to ensure a quality of life, and also just safety and security and convenience for those who live in the area. That's all I have to say.
Chair, can I ask a question really quick? Can I
Go
ask a
ahead.
question of you? Your thoughts are not unique to the amount of emails that I've received and things, being the representative for the area and also living half a mile from there. So my question for you is, if you bring up infrastructure, a lot of people brought up infrastructure, roads, utilities, schools, that kind of thing. If the infrastructure was there, would there be the amount of opposition, do you think, at least from you, that
it would be reduced somewhat, except that in the time we lived in our home, just local crime in our neighborhood has gone up, just like burglaries, thefts, things, and I would say in 99.9% of the cases, the people that are poking around people's garages, breaking into their cars, are not from our neighborhood, you know, and as these large places, you know, developments have come up, you know, east of the corridor, just east of the corridor, and then right there west of the corridor, these problems have grown. You know, I'm an old guy. I don't have any kids in school, you know, but I have a lot of neighbors with kids in school, and I see every year, just you know, just the stress of just the overcrowded schools and what's going to happen as those grow. So yeah, you know, if there were the schools, if you know, if 70 North was 2 to 3 lanes going each direction, you know, I think we could absorb it. But short of that, I mean, it's just a, you know, there's inconvenience. There's just problems. I think
Councilmember
safety is
McConaughey.
one of the big ones. So.
Hey, point of order, I just wanted to check where we were at with time and comments, and the back and forth didn't, it seemed like the forum was evolving away from citizen comment, and we're having problems with mics.
I'm not having problems. This is the way the system is designed. No, I appreciate he was answering a question that I had. I asked permission of the chair to ask the question of him, and he answered. It wasn't really a back and forth. It was just a back or a forth. I'm not sure, but I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just trying to work through this myself, so I appreciate you being willing to answer a question.
Is there,
We do have one more online.
I see an online hand raised. I just allowed you to talk. If you will press *6, and you should be able to speak now.
Hi, Council. Thank you so much. This is Ann Forrester. I'm a resident of West Jordan. I also live out near the Bowman's area plan development, and just wanted to give my public comment on the issue. My family and I have lived here for 7 years in this area of West Jordan, and we've seen a lot of growth since we've moved out here. Before we moved out here, we actually were considering another home in Harriman. We had money down on our lot. We actually lost money because we walked away from it because we could see the writing on the wall with the high density building that was going on out there. And so my comment would be, don't Harrimanize West Jordan. That's what we like about West Jordan is that there isn't so much high density. And even if we were to have the infrastructure, we were to have 78th widened, which it does need sooner rather than later, you would still have the quality of life with having that much traffic, that many people in one area. You know, the pressure on our schools. We know Copper Hills is the largest high school in Jordan School District, and that there needs to be, you know, schools addressed in the future about student population. So for us, we out on the west side of West Jordan, we like to see what we have right now. We don't want to be daybreakified or Harrimanized. We like that West Jordan maintains a good balance, and so that we hope that we would not see so much high density like we do see in other southwest parts of the valley.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else? Please come forward.
Yeah, I'd also like to discuss Bowman's Arrow.
Please tell us your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Brian Looney. I live in West Jordan, just off of 7800 South by the fire station. I feel like the citizens have spoken more than one time regarding this, and a lot of people have come out pretty strongly against it for various reasons. Infrastructure seems to be a big problem. The schools, in my mind, are the biggest problem, and I mean, I really foresee some big issues trying to overcome that problem. As was already mentioned, Copper Hills is massive. It is just a huge high school. And that is not something, that is not a part of the infrastructure that's going to be easily overcome. That's going to take a lot of work, and Jordan School District kind of does what they want. So it seems to, when we needed a new school here, they chose to build one in Harriman instead. I just hope that I hope that the city council will listen to the citizens who are affected by this. And it seems that the developers continue to lobby toward this, and they continue to want this. And I really hope that the city council listens to the citizens who are affected by this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else? I see no hands online. Is there anyone else here in the building, in this room, that would like to make comments? Seeing none, I am going to close the public hearing. Yeah, public hearing, it was probably more like a public hearing, but sorry. I'm going to close citizen comments, and we'll go to the next, thank you. We're going to go to the next item on the agenda, and that's the mayor's report. The mayor is online. Mayor, it is yours.
Thank you, Councilman Green. Appreciate you taking a few minutes to let me speak. And thank you for letting me tie in virtually online. I am currently in Spokane, Washington at a conference, so I appreciate the opportunity to reach out virtually in order to make these comments. I want to say, make it clear that the reason that K9 was shot was not due to our police officer, it was due to a bad guy with a gun. I also want to thank Representative Dunnigan for coming and joining with us today. Thank you, Representative. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for what you do for the residents in the city of West Jordan, even though you only cover a small portion of it. A couple of weeks ago, I had an opportunity to visit the Porter Rockwell Bridge ribbon cutting. You might think, what does that have to do with West Jordan? Well, that's because that's on Mountain View Corridor, and you've heard already comments about traffic in West Jordan. Well, any traffic we can do outside of West Jordan that will help people in West Jordan get to and from West Jordan would be beneficial for us, and that is something that is a benefit to our city. So I was happy to be there and represent our city at that cutting. On August 3rd, just recently, the Radiant Event Center had a Chalk the Walk, and I was impressed with the talents that we got to see there, where people drew artwork on the sidewalk with chalk. It was quite impressive. If you didn't get a chance to see it, some of those pieces may still be there. So, not very much because we got a little bit of rain, but it's online and you can check it online at the Radiant's website. Also, last week I got to visit the seniors center, and they had a spelling bee, so I just got to stop by for a few minutes. Some of these people might be a couple of years older than me, some even more than that, but their spelling talents way surpassed mine. I was impressed on the skills and talents some of our seniors have on sharing their talents in their spelling bee. Last Saturday, I visited a suicide walk called the Out of Darkness Walk. It was held here at Veterans Memorial Park. That is an important event that was here because suicide is something that affects all of us, and we can all make a difference in that. Also, there were lots of opportunities for people. There were lots of church organizations that were doing days of service on Saturday. I tried to visit a few of those, as many as I could. Thank you for all of you who helped make our community better last Saturday by the service you did, whether just cleaning up parks or spreading mulch or other things like that. That is a great benefit to our city and will make a difference in days and years to come. Coming up, the Georgia School District has their Fall Fair, which will be on September 19th at the Viridian Event Center. Council, I hope some of you, or all of you, well, all of you can't, but I hope some of you can make it there for that fair that they're putting on. Also, the Sugar Factory Playhouse is presenting the Mousetrap. If you have an opportunity to get some tickets and attend that, that'll be at Pioneer Hall starting September 22nd through October 1st. and I plan on visiting one of those events too. Also keep in mind that during the month of September, our food trucks are still happening, and on September 17th, next Saturday, is the Monster Truck Rally, and I'm looking forward to that. There are still tickets available, so if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, there are some available online. That's my report, Councilman Green. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Lee, the city administrator's report.
Thank you, Councilman. I'd like to have Brian Clegg give you an update on our road maintenance projects that have been occurring over the summer, and Isaac Astle, our Public Services Director, give you an update on the recently completed day of service.
Real quick, thank you, Council. Just a real quick update on the 8600 South Bridge project. We finally got under contract with Rocky Mountain Power this last couple of weeks to order the material to raise the lines where the bridge will go over Mountain View. We got power lines there. We have to raise that up. That material should be here around October 25th. Once that's validated and we know we're going to get the material delivered on time due to supply chain issues, after we know that it's coming, we're going to put the project out to bid. So first part of November, we're going to put it out to bid. Hopefully start construction on the road and bridge later spring. But that one's moving forward finally. And then just an update on the out-of-house overlays and in-house overlays. Let's go to out-of-house first. Out-of-house overlays, I know a few of you have received complaints on concrete, roads torn up, different issues there. I've got a schedule from the contractor that everything should be completed by September 23rd. They're paving now in areas that they have completed the concrete. Once all the concrete's done, the paving will go really fast. So it's a couple more weeks and we'll hopefully be done, barring no bad weather that will shut them down. Out-of-house overlays, we should be done, the in-house staff should be done with all of our projects next week. So we did a lot of work this year, and once we're done, I'll be bringing a summary to council on the work that was completed in the roads. It was a lot, so that's all I got. Thank you.
Councilmember Pack.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to thank Mr. Clegg and Mr. Lee for their responsiveness. I've had many residents reach out to me regarding the road projects that have been mentioned. And thank you for being so prompt in getting back to me and also contacting residents regarding road schedules and just answering their questions and concerns and communicating well in-house and out-house, as you just mentioned, within council and also to residents so that everybody's informed and answers to questions are there and lowering frustration. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. If I may just add one thing to Brian's report, Brian's not tooting his own horn. And we had a little bit of a bumpy summer with resident comments and issues about road maintenance because we did far more road maintenance this summer than most summers. In terms of linear feet of road maintenance and sidewalk repairs, I think we've never done more than we have this summer, which is phenomenal for the maintenance of our roads and long-term effectiveness of our roads. But we did have quite a few more residents than typical that were being affected by that maintenance.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Chair. I also wanted to share a thank you with staff for learning from some of the things that could have gone a little bit better. I had some conversations with Mayor Burton about what might be done around schools, and he brought up that he had shared with staff that going forward we should be having certain areas that must be finished prior to school starting. I know that there are a number of elementary schools that will very much appreciate minor modifications like that. So thank you for always looking at what we might be able to do better and how we can adjust and planning for the next year. And thank you for the mayor for the responsiveness on that.
Well, and what you didn't mention, Brian, is one that Mr. Naylor is extremely happy about is how fast 1300 West got finished. Dave, you don't have to go one way and try to figure out how to get out of your house anymore. But that one's also a plus. For the residents that don't know, We did shut down half of 1300 West, and you could only go south. But because of the way it was blocked off, it made it wider, and the contractor was able to finish up that project, I think it was about 6 weeks early. Wasn't it, Greg? Wasn't it targeted for the end of October, and it's done now?
The end date for the road work was going to be sometime the first week in October, and it actually finished up before Labor Day. They opened the road up before Labor Day.
So that's good. Councilmember McConaughey?
Thank you, Chair. That was going to be one item that I was going to bring up during remarks at the end of the meeting, but since you already broached that subject, that was very impressive to see the flexibility from our Public Works group, our streets folks give the flexibility as needed so that the job could be completed not just over a month early, but also come in under budget. Mr. Davenport, who is the contractor on that one? Or Mr. Clegg?
Rolf Construction was the contractor. Greg, kudos goes to Greg. He's the one that managed that project. So Greg and his team.
A huge thank you to staff and to Rolf Construction for fixing that as quickly as they did
did a good
that.
job.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
Mr. Astle?
Thank you, Council. The mayor's already mentioned about the day of service, but I just wanted to give you guys some details of what actually transpired during that. We had over 600 volunteers throughout the city participate in that. Some of the work that they completed, they planted 20 new trees at Ronwood Park, and then they also cut around and cleaned up 30 other trees that had been overgrown by the grass, cleared, and then had a mulch put around. Our staff took out 6 tons of softfall to Vista West Park, and then the volunteers spread that out through that park. We did 4 10-wheel dump trucks full of bark and mulch at the Sycamore roundabouts. The community members came and spread that through those. They also cleaned trails, cleaned several of the playgrounds and parks throughout the city, and then also picked up trash in the gutters and green space throughout the city. So we're grateful for that, for their volunteerism and what they've done for us. That really lightens the load on our park staff and made the entire community look better. So we want to thank them again.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
It sounds like we should have called it, instead of a fee waiver, a fee. And I think Councilmember McConaughey mentioned that when we did the fee waiver, but that was a service in lieu of fees, and it was well worth it, it looks like. Mr. Lee, anything else?
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to the public now we'll get the public hearings, right? We'll move on to the public hearing section of our agenda. As was mentioned, public hearing 5A, the petition to amend the future land use map for Robert Bowman. That one has been pulled. We will not be considering that. We will now move to 5B, ordinance number 22-32, amending the 2009 West Jordan City Code, enacting pet boarding definition in SC2 and SC3 zones. And I suspect that that's Mr. Gardner, because that's why he's sitting here. So, Mr. Gardner, please give us an introduction to this ordinance amendment that we're considering tonight.
Okay, thank you, Council. On June 22nd, we had a public hearing for pet boarding facilities. The council asked for some modification that evening. With this ordinance, you will be adopting a modified version or definition for kennel. Instead of animals are boarded, it will say animals are housed, and then a new definition for pet boarding. And that should be in your packet. Also, in the ordinance, excuse me. At that time, the council, pet boarding was proposed to be a conditional use in the SC2 and SC3 zone and in the interchange overlay zone. Council asked that it be removed from the interchange overlay zone, which we have done, and be added to in the manufacturing zones in MP, M1 and M2 zone as conditional uses. Do you have any questions?
Does anyone have a question for Mr. Gardner?
And here's some lovely pictures that Alan's put up of potential.
Thank you. If there are no questions for Mr. Gardner, I will open this up for public comment. If there's anyone that would like to comment on this particular ordinance, if you're online, please raise your hand or press *9 to raise your hand. If you're here in the building, if you're here in the room, please step up to the podium. I see no hands up in the council, in the room. I see nobody coming to the podium. I am going to close public hearing, bring it back to the council, and I see Councilmember McConaughey with his light on.
Thank you, Chair. I don't see any other lights on mic, so I will move to approve ordinance 22-32.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey. We have a second by Councilmember Worthen. Ms. Quick, we'll give you time to fix PrimeGov and do a roll call vote. I love that when that pops up on the screen because I know you're ready. Is there any discussion to the motion? Sorry. Seeing no discussion to the motion, now we'll have Ms. Quick do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Councilmember McConaughey,
Aye.
Vice Chair Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Pack,
Yes.
Councilmember Worthen,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0.
I'm just waiting for PrimeGov to give me the big green yes. What you can't see is on my screen. I get this big green yes that says now we're done. Now we're going to consider ordinance number 22-40, amending park strip detail of Part 8 of the landscape and irrigation policy and design criteria 2020 to better align with our recently adopted water efficiency standards. Based on the fact that he already ran up to the podium, he's so excited to present this. Isaac, this must be yours, but I imagine that Mr. Naylor's here to help answer questions.
My expert is sitting here, and he'll be here. He'll be up here in just a minute to help with any technical questions you guys have.
Please proceed.
Thank you. We've, over the last 6 months, well, longer than that, there's been several discussions about water conservation in public property. We've listened to those concerns and put together a plan that reduces the amount of sod that will be allowed in any future public spaces to no more than 20% sod in those areas. The rest of the area is mulch, concrete mulch, trees, a myriad of different plants that are approved by the city. Now, I know the one question we heard in the Planning Commission when they recommended this was, what if we want to do less than 20%? We only set a maximum. We did not set a minimum. So that could be, up to the developer or the Planning Commission to decide or recommend something more restrictive than that. But that's our recommendation. And again, Dave's here to share any background or technical information that you guys may need answers on.
Do we have any questions? Doesn't look like anybody's got any questions. You guys got off easy tonight.
You have to stand up, Dave.
Dave came up all dressed up, even in a tie.
He is.
That's probably the first time he's worn a tie to work in 15 years.
Thank you.
Seeing no questions from council, I'm going to open the public hearing regarding ordinance number 22-40, amending the park strip criteria. If you're online, please raise your hand. If you're here in the temporary chambers, please step up to the podium. Please step up.
It's June Christiansen, and I just want to say thanks. This is something that's been in a long time coming. I think a lot of us out here have complained about the park strips and the amount of water and the upkeep that it costs the city to do, and think our tax dollars should go better somewhere else. So thank you so much for doing so. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to comment on the park strip details? I see no hands up in the Zoom room. I see no one else coming to the podium. So I am going to close public comments on the ordinance and bring this back to council. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad that when different options for what could be done with park strips, when those different options were listed, one of them was not gravel and some of the larger rocks. I absolutely hate those. Worry about kids with car windows nearby and things like that. I much prefer the options that you shared. This and the other prior public hearings seem to be going pretty quickly, but I don't want that to distract or take away from the work that staff has put in behind the scenes. Mr. Naylor has spent a lot of time on so many items. When I was relatively new to the council, I can't tell you how many hours he put in to a thought about how we could better fund our parks. And watching all the work and all the effort that went into that, I started watching a little bit more closely what our parks folks are doing. I don't know that you're going to find people who care more for our city than the folks in the Parks Department. Mr. Naylor comes from a family that has a long legacy here in the city, and there are many things, if you look closely, that bear their fingerprints. I'm very happy to see that as we're continuing to improve what we're doing. Sure enough, there's Mr. Naylor right up front, getting everything ready, just kind of quietly going in the background. He doesn't come to this meeting too often in a shirt and tie. I frankly feel a little uncomfortable seeing him in a tie. He belongs in a tractor. Going back to the 4th of July parade, he's just the man that belongs on the tractor. Thank you for all that you do, constantly, always being there, always ready to help make sure that things are where they need to be to help our city look as beautiful as possible and make this a city that people want to call home. With that, I'm not seeing any other lights.
Before you do that, I'm going to jump in. Yesterday, some of you missed it, dang it, but yesterday we had the annual corn event out at the Public Works Building, where the public, you've never seen so much corn roasted in your life, but I understand there was 15 dozen corn, 15, is that about right, Isaac? About 15 dozen corn roasted. A lot of the city staff were there. I sat at a table that had a bunch of parks workers who work in this park right here. And I don't know why I'm emotional, but I am. It's not often that you have parks workers who can say and are proud that they've worked in this park for over 8 years. And I have to tell you that is amazing dedication to making sure that our city is what it needs to be. So thank you. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Chair. I do notice that I think the hand may have come up after the public hearing had closed, but to make sure that we give an opportunity to still comment on this item, I would move to suspend the rules to allow Ms. Forrester to speak to this item. Her hand has gone back up online.
Oh, I will second that. All those in favor of suspending the rules?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ms. Forrester, you can unmute yourself now. You'll need to press *6. We'll allow you to speak to this particular item. Please go ahead and press *6. Are you there? Ms. Forrester, if you'd like to speak, please unmute yourself by pressing *6.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
This is Alexandra Efremo. I'm saying, Utah, we are a desert, and I'm begging our residents in Utah to start having desert lawns. We need to preserve the water. We can use stone. We can use other material. We do not need to use so much water on our green grass. We are in a desert. We need to have more and more desert lawns. I have a desert lawn, and I'm sorry. This is what we need to do. We need to preserve water. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. It's really weird how that got crossed over when Ms. Forrester was on there, so thank you for your comments.
Chair.
Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, since the rule was suspended to allow her an opportunity to speak, I think it would be appropriate to offer if anyone else wanted to say anything before we move on.
Because we have suspended the rules and allowed another person to speak, is there anyone else that would like to comment on this particular ordinance? I see no other hands raised in the Zoom. I see no one else coming to the podium. At that point,
Okay.
I'll reclose the public hearing and we'll bring it back to the council.
With, again, a note of thanks to our park staff and especially Mr. Naylor, I move to approve ordinance 22-40.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey, second by Councilmember Worthen. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing or hearing none. And Ms. Quick, efficient with PrimeGov, getting it up on the screen. Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Worthen,
Yes.
Councilmember Pack,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Vice Chair Green,
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0.
We will now move to the business item section of our agenda. First item up in business item is resolution number 22-42, extending a previous motion for the Welby West rezone and development. Council Director Anderson.
In about two sentences, back on June 8th, 2022, the council passed a motion at the request of the developer extending his time to bring it back to the council to a date no later than September 30th. He will not have that ready in time for that. It is planned to come back to you on October 12th. This extension just extends that council direction to a date not later than November 30th, which would give him additional time, but right now it looks like we will have that to you for October 12th.
Thank you. Councilmember Jacob.
Seeing no other lights, I'll move to approve Resolution 22-042.
I have a motion by Councilmember Jacob, a second, was that Councilmember McConaughey? Any discussion to the motion? Seeing no discussion to the motion, since this is a resolution, Ms. Quick, we'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
Councilmember Pack.
Yes.
Councilmember Worthen.
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
And Vice Chair Green.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0.
Next item on the, for business is resolution number 22-34. It's a memorandum of understanding with Salt Lake County Emergency Management for emergency use of city property. Mr. Anderson, is that yours or is that Mr. Lee's?
That is actually going to be Chief Maxfield, who can answer any questions the council may have.
Oh, that's right. He is the head guy for emergency management in the city. Wondered why you kept sitting back there.
Yeah, this would normally be Jeff's thing, but he's out of town. So what you have before you is a resolution authorizing the execution of an MOU with Salt Lake County Emergency Management to use some of our land, namely Veterans Memorial Park, including the rodeo grounds, as well as Ron Wood Park, in the event of an emergency for them to stage equipment. So basically that's it. We felt that it would be a benefit to the city to have a lot of that here if needed. So any questions? Okay.
Any questions for Chief Maxfield? I see no questions. Councilmember McConaughey.
Move to approve resolution 22-034.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey, second by Councilmember Green. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, Ms. Quick, let's have another roll call vote.
Thank you. Vice Chair Green.
Yes.
Councilmember Worthen.
Sorry. Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
And Councilmember Pack.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0.
Moving on to consent items. There are actually 2 items on consent. I have not had anybody request that be pulled or an item be pulled for discussion. Councilmember McConaughey, I saw it flash and then it didn't.
Yeah. We're good. I was looking at the minutes and ready to make a motion, but since I wasn't there at the meeting on the 30th, I'm going to hold off on the motion that would cover both those items.
I'll move to approve the consent items.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jacob, a second by Councilmember Worthen. Any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, let's have another roll call vote.
Thank you. Councilmember McConaughey. Councilmember Worthen.
Yes.
Councilmember Pack.
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Green.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0.
We will now move on to the council reports and remarks. Mr. Anderson, council office report, please.
think there's one more. Did you approve both consent? Is that what just happened? Okay. Yeah, council office report. The general plan will be presented to the Planning Commission starting on Tuesday. They're going to go over 4 chapters. Right now, they are planning on probably 2 to 3 meetings to go over the general plan document. I want to just publicly thank your staff for putting it together. Cassidy's put a lot of time into editing that, making it flow, updating the graphics. If you've had a chance to read it, which was in the PrimeGov packet for the 30th, you would note much of the graphic work that's gone in there and the flow. So we expect to bring that to the council probably late October, November timeframe, where the Planning Commission will introduce it to you, and that is our report at this time. Thank you.
Council members, any council reports or remarks? Councilmember Pack.
Thank you. I always feel it's a wonderful opportunity to come meet people, especially our employees. Thank you, Councilmember Green, for mentioning the corn roast. That was wonderful. There were games of cornhole and some delicious root beer that you made, Councilmember Green. Thank you. And much thanks to Mr. Clegg for roasting all the corn. And it was nice to see police and fire getting together for their annual softball game. Seems like that was a good time.
Oh, I missed that.
It was 18 to 22. It was mentioned in the city report that, I want to make sure I don't get it inverted, that fire admires police, and so they wanted to give them even more self-esteem and let them win 22 to 18.
When was that? I didn't even see anything about it.
Chief, when was that? I knew it was this last week. I couldn't remember the date. And did I get it right? It was 18 to 22, as I read in the report. But and the victors were the fire. That's what I thought. Yes, to honor the police. It was written in the report that police or the fire let the police officers win, yes, the other way around. Thank you. But I think it's wonderful how we have these getting together opportunities, interdepartment, and also city council being invited to many events that are put on by city staff. And I'm grateful for the camaraderie and rapport that we have, especially since we are still fairly relatively new in this form of government, going from council mayor format to strong mayor, where we have that differentiation of legislative and executive branches. I'm grateful that we strive to work and play well together. So thank you.
Councilmember Worthen.
Oh, my little hand is up. Couldn't tell. I'd like to give a couple shout outs tonight. One to one of our local businesses, Sam's Club. I had to go over and visit with them because I had some apparently 2 nails in one of my tires. My tire gauge light kept coming on, and my husband did put some air in my tires, but then it came back on. So I went over there, and quite honestly, they are super short-staffed, which I think a lot of places are right now. But just amazing customer service. With as stressed out as you could tell they were trying to service everybody, they still just did it with a smile. So very impressed with those people in this stressful time of being short-staffed and still taking care of people. I know our staff, Parks Department and other departments have that same issue, and they do a really good job with making sure they're still taking care of people. And on that, I wanted to give a personal shout out to Cassie on our staff. I look at emails every single morning, and kudos, young lady. You are doing an amazing job getting back to everybody, and you take the time and you care. And I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate your excellent customer service to our constituents on our behalf. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to go to any events, but that's what you do when you have a day job. So I haven't had the opportunity to go to a lot of things that have been going on. But I'm there in spirit. I wish I could come to more often. Thank you.
Councilmember Jacob.
I'd just like to put this out. I think I put this out every year and nobody ever takes me up on it. Next year, for the police and the fire departments, you have the chance to draft a former All-Star Little League baseball player. If, I'll go with whoever comes to me first. Just, I work for cheap, so, just throwing that out there. It's been a while since I played softball, but I think I could probably still do it, so.
Yeah, I used to be a good referee. Umpire in softball. I used to umpire softball. Now I referee football. But yeah, please invite us. I did not know about that, so please invite us. Anyone else have, Mr. Anderson, did you say you had something else?
Yes, one thing I just need to get from the council with the remodel, and it wasn't in my slide deck the right way. But the architect has provided the council office some variations for the tabletops, and the background color on that right slide, you can kind of see that red arrow pointing to the dark blue lip there that kind of hides the cables. So what I need to hear from the council, I've already heard from the two council members that are not here this evening. But I need to know if you want like a Formica or a laminate countertop or a hard surface countertop, and then there's the white and the blue. The left side has the white paint and the right side has the blue paint. So I just need to know laminate or hard surface, white or blue. This is kind of what everything else will look like. You'll see that the wood matches the doors, so it's a common theme. We're not discussing that. But if I could just get a poll from the five of you.
So I'm just going to go down the row, starting with Councilmember Worthen.
I believe I've already submitted mine.
Oh, yes,
Stuff
thank
to
you.
your
I have her, I don't have Miss.
Hard surface, dark colors.
Okay.
Because hard surfaces are harder to damage and dark colors are harder to see stains. I'm all about not refixing things later.
I'm just going to go down the row. Councilmember McConaughey.
Hard surface, don't care.
Councilmember Pack.
Thank you. I like the contrast of color. Add some accent. Yes, definitely hide the cables. And it looks like, is the profile of the ledge going to be the same width? Just with the red drawing, it looks like you're cutting some off. That's a question I had on the rendering email that you sent out.
No,
it's just basically the color on the inside. So.
Correct. It's the red was just highlighting the countertop that we're talking about.
Sure. If it's not just straight paint that would need to be repainted, if it's the hard surface, dark color, as Councilmember Worthen said, I agree. Thank you.
Dark and hard. Councilmember Jacob.
I'm struggling. Is this a policy or a budget decision? I don't care.
The architect was just asking.
You could paint it fluorescent green and I'd be all right. I don't care.
Secondly, fluorescent green. Second. Okay.
I heard a fluorescent green in there, so.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else with the have any further comments or remarks they would like to make? If not, I will just highlight that the new business on this particular agenda item is that we have an ordinance coming before us that's going to amend the residential height building. And just as a quick overview, instead of measuring to the middle of the angle, it'll measure to actually the top of the roof, which makes sense to me if you're building a building height, but hey, what do I know? And the second one is an amendment for Mountain America Credit Union to change the future land use map over at 68 South and Redwood Road. Isn't that the one that Alan?
Yes, the one just across
That's the
from
street
Redwood
from the
Memorial.
old Target.
Yep, from the old Target.
So those are the two new business items coming up. You see, we have unfinished business. We know that Welby West is coming back. Some of the others will be hopefully coming back soon. Unless we have anything else, I'd entertain one final motion.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Jacob, a second by Councilmember Worthen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Chris, you can come over and hang out if you really want, still want to keep things
Because of the
going.
no votes, we are required to have a roll call vote. We have a motion by Councilmember Jacob, second by Councilmember Worthen. Ms. Quick, will you do the roll call vote?
Councilmember McConaughey? No. Councilmember Jacob?
Yes.
Councilmember Worthen?
Yes.
Councilmember Pack?
I'm getting pressured to say no. Public clamor.
Okay, and Vice Chair Green?
The answer is yes.
I did. Did you vote no? Councilmember Pack? Yes.
I believe it's a 3-2 vote.
Vice
The
Chair
motion
Green?
fails 3-2. We stay in session. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we're,
Councilmember Green, I move to adjourn.
wait a minute. Rob, did you have something?
No, you can adjourn with a 3-2 vote. It's a
Oh.
procedural matter.
It's a procedural matter that it
It
only
doesn't
takes a
require
majority.
Right.
Because we have a 3-2 vote, vote passes, we stand adjourned.
What in the heck?
Turn your mics off. Turn your mics off, please.
I just wanted to see what would happen with you, because you had mentioned the 4 votes.